All right, we are live, and let's let the audience build.
All right.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. All right, we are now live. Whoops, I removed the wrong person. There we go. I removed Wayne by accident.
There
So,
I am.
all right. Hey, I want to test something out. Before our guest is already on standby right now. So, as of right now, I want to find out if there's any delay between me and any of you guys right now.
Okay.
Well,
All right. What do you want me to do?
all right. All right, let's do a test. Raise your hand if you can hear me right now.
Well, I mean that's not a good test.
There was a little bit of a. Okay. I don't know. How could we test this out?
Right.
Because I got the new.
Daniel, I'll raise my hand and then you tell me when you see it.
Now.
Okay. There's a little bit of a delay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So again, as usual, you guys have to be patient with my responses and blah blah blah. So.
It's not as bad as it was.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I got my internet box closer to the laptop, and I figured I try these new earbuds out. They got this built-in mouthpiece on here, so it's pretty cool. But, and I disconnected my other device, so that's not interfering. So the laptop has all the Wi-Fi juice going into it. So.
Right.
Our other panel member, Nikki, she may be running late. I'm not sure she'll be able to make it or not, because she had some unexpected guests that arrived. I jokingly told her, I said, "Tell them they got to go." So, yeah. Anyway, that's all good. So if she makes it, that's cool either way. And guess this. Now we actually are live streaming both on YouTube and Facebook. That wasn't originally planned. Since I upgraded on here, yeah, I am multi-streaming, so we are shared like hell all over Facebook, and we are also live on YouTube. So we should be able to get both YouTube and Facebook comments on here from on the interaction. So, uh, so
so far it's working. Looks like it.
Yeah, because on my end, it gives me the option that gives me the option to pick either Facebook, YouTube, or all destinations. I have it set on all destinations right now. So, yeah, because when I replied back to Lupe, when I said hey there, it showed up both as my my YouTube channel and Facebook page. So, all right. So our audience is actually starting to build up a little bit since we are now live. As many of you guys know, we are continuing on with our South Carolina Bigfoot episode, and our last one we had Miss Deborah. Tonight we have Melissa and Carrie George. You guys ready for me to bring them on? And I want to get you guys acquainted with them.
All right.
So yes, please welcome Miss Carrie and Melissa George. Hey, there you guys are. Awesome. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing great. How about you?
Hanging in there. Little excited there because I'm glad to have you guys on here. These other gentlemen, they're not familiar with you guys. We've had you guys on the YouTube channel. I guess just a few years back. So, and it's great to have you guys back on here. So, if you have any trouble hearing me, just let me know. So,
the audio's great. We're getting a little buffering from our end, but I know that's our end.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, if there's any kind of interruptions, just let us know. If we have to repeat anything, it's not a problem. Because these guys are used to having delays on my end. So, well, Melissa and Carrie, you guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you guys are right next to it, or you guys are right there. You guys are from Seneca, South Carolina. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I was surprised I remembered that much. So yeah, because you guys are like neighbors with Seneca, and then you got just about 10, 15 minutes away, you got Westminster. So,
right.
Yeah, Pat on here. He's from Georgia. He's not far from Westminster. So,
yeah.
I live in northeast Georgia, probably 45 minutes from the South Carolina line.
Wow, that is close to us.
And I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, which sits right on the border with South Carolina, mid-state there.
Augusta is beautiful.
So yeah, I'm familiar with your state somewhat.
We're right in the corner.
What's that? You are slightly muffled there.
We're right next to Clemson, up in the corner.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. We're practically neighbors.
Well, before we get into anything, Melissa, Carrie, I'm just curious. Since the last time I seen you guys down there, last October, what have you guys been up to?
Well, we haven't been out in the woods since you were here in October. We've been kind of letting it die down, giving everything a break, hoping to hit it about the middle of next month, and I can't wait to see what's different. We've been hearing a few howls, tree knocks. We're still getting the tree knocks, so I know something's going on.
Heard a whistle the other night.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, are you talking about a location or near your property?
Our research area.
Okay, so not on your property.
Daniel, you want to field that one?
Okay.
It actually is their. It is their property, but their property backs up to like it's joined by a swamp, bamboo forest, and more trees and more woods. So yeah, they got a lot of woods that connects to their property. There's actually a couple old fields off to the one side, and yeah, they're surrounded by woods out there where they are.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah, one thing I thought was exciting. I actually got to hear my first elk when I was down there. I do recall hearing the elk really clear. And I know we got him here in Virginia. I just never heard him before, But when I was down there, I got to hear an elk.
Ooh,
I didn't.
I didn't know we have elk down here, dude. Like,
I didn't know there was elk in South Carolina. I didn't know they were that far south.
That doesn't sound right to me. Yeah.
It was definitely. I don't know. It's definitely sounded like, unless there was somebody else mimicking an elk with a because I do have those bugle type horns and stuff, but it sounded just like an elk. I don't know. What do you guys know of any elk down there?
No, none.
Well, there was a guy that had some in a fence, but they turned him loose now.
Oh wow!
Really?
Like they did, like in Cherokee area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of them you heard then, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, it must. Maybe there's a reintroduction, Wayne, like some kind of reintroduction of elk in the deep south.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Maybe so then.
Well, that's what they've done here in Virginia. And I know back in the early 1960s, they released a population of elk, and then 20 years later, in the early 80s, they did it again. So yeah, I'm assuming that there's other states they may be reintroducing other species. I know there's other species of other animals they've actually reintroduced. Some places got certain species of wolf reintroduced. Same thing with the mountain lion. There's the thing is about mountain lions. A lot of them that get introduced or reintroduced in certain areas, they're not going to make that public. But most of the time, if you go online and do research on other species, it's usually public. But that's the one thing I learned is, for some reason, they do not make a big fuss because they don't want people to get crazy and panic when it comes to mountain lions. And so forth.
Yeah, they shouldn't be doing that. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, mountain lions are very rare down here in the deep south. They might be up in the high Appalachians of the North Carolina area, but they're rarely seen down where I'm at, and for good reason. I mean, they're very, very dangerous animals. They're the most dangerous big predator. Like I'd rather deal with a black bear than a mountain lion, because a mountain lion will stalk you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Tennessee, and
black
they say that
run from you.
They say that we have mountain lions here, but I've never seen one. I've seen my fair share of bobcats in the area, and I hear they're terrifying to hear scream, and I don't know if I've ever heard one scream or not.
Huh.
Yeah, we have a lot of bobcats.
Yeah, I've actually captured them on my trail camera a couple times. So
bobcats are everywhere.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I tell you what, I know we'll end up getting into some other discussions here after a while. But Melissa, Carrie, I know a lot of your history when it comes to what you guys had, what you guys experienced, in your general area. I guess I'll get you guys started with. Let's start, for all the new viewers, my new panel from the last time you guys were on here. Let's start off with this. What got you guys started with Bigfoot? And then we'll kind of gradually get into it from there.
You want to take it? You may take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Well, we were both always interested, but we thought there's no way they're here. They're all out in Pacific Northwest, and we were part of a paranormal team. Well, there's, certain cryptids in South Carolina that are famous, and we thought, well, we'll get the team trained to look for cryptids. So we decide that we're going to put the team together and train them on what to look for in the woods and everything, because normally we were doing inside of buildings. And in doing that, we actually ended up finding evidence of Bigfoot. And it completely blew our minds. And we were bit by the bug and dove in.
All right. Yeah.
Well,
if you hear me get quiet,
what was
go ahead.
what was the first evidence that you found that got you thinking that way?
We had decided we were going to go out into the woods and kind of pick out a trail to lead the team through, where a lot of them were city people not used to the woods. So we thought we'd make an easy trail to have them walk one evening. And as we're out, looking around, picking through the best way to get through the woods, we came across some 18-inch footprints. And it sent chills down my spine. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be a pretty good indication that you have them, I would think.
The next day, husband took camera, went out in the woods looking around, and he came back with some amazing pictures of tree structures. One of them Daniel will be showing shortly. And when I saw it on the camera, I had to get outside and see this thing myself.
Oh, wow.
So that was an indication that something was going on.
Now, Melissa and Carrie, I don't know if, since you guys were on your phone, I actually have the structure with Marty standing in front of it. That structure, the same structure that you guys have on, that you use on the cover of your book. So if you guys can't see it, I'll let you know what I got up on the screen right now.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
Oh, okay, great. So yeah, anything I pull up as you guys discussing it, I'll go ahead and throw it up there. But
okay.
Yeah, I'll do it like this so we can still see each other. Yeah. So I know this is the main one. This is one of the ones. I know you guys come across some other ones. I know from what you shared with me tonight, there's been some pretty interesting things going on here. Actually, yeah. Now I don't know how well people could see this here, but I could see the toes in this footprint.
Yeah.
That's
let me try to do the.
That was a very small footprint that me and my son Chris actually came across, and I believe he laid down a tobacco beside to show how small this actually was. And Daniel, as you know, there's no way any children are going to be walking through these woods barefoot.
It's very wide, though.
Yeah, and as far as I know, and then as far as I know, when I was down there exploring those woods, I didn't see any evidence of any bear. So, especially this showing the archway, this does not look like a bear track. So, Oops, wrong one. That was your test. There you go. Hold on. There was another footprint in here somewhere. Now I don't know. This one here, I don't know if people can make this out. But if you pay attention to of the soil, the dirt here. You can see the discoloration here. Now this one here, I see it's June of 2013 on this one.
That was one of the first ones we found.
Okay. Interesting. Now, let's see. What else we got here? I think that. Oh no, I know there's some other stuff here. Hold on. Let me go back. There's some other things. Now this one here is hard to see.
Yeah, that was.
I think there was supposed to be hair on there. It's hard. I can't. That one there is hard to.
The barbed wire fence.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Pulled apart.
Oh, okay. And
yeah. I can't come up with an explanation of anything that could mash down a fence.
now this here, I find this interesting. This here is mind-boggling right here. This was definitely done by hands right here. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the
Now, is this are those vines, or is that part of a tree that's been pulled together and tied like that?
Those are vines.
Vines, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that fast.
We thought that was kind of strange.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't accidentally done.
Yeah, definitely not natural. That's for sure. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, Melissa and Carrie, I remember an incident you guys shared with us in the past. It was very bizarre at that. The one that involved I can't remember. There's bits and pieces of it I can't remember, but I know it was an incident that happened just right outside of your home, up the road a little ways. It did involve a lot of commotion and stuff. I was wondering if you guys wanted to take us back and share that story with everybody, and let them hear that for themselves, and then we may have questions because I'm going to be watching the live chat here too. So as you guys are discussing and sharing that, I'll be sure to throw out some questions for you guys here too in a little bit. So, but how about you guys go ahead and take that away and share that story with us?
Okay. June the 1st, 2013. We had got the team together, and we were going to roast some hot dogs, have, a dinner before we got out and hit the woods that evening. My grandson was 2 years old. My mom and dad lived next door to us, so we had taken him out there while we were out in the woods to where they could watch him. Well, they had decided to take him to McDonald's. They left here, I guess, 7:30. When they got to the end of our road, which, Daniel, you know what I'm talking about, they had stopped at the stop sign and waiting on traffic. And off to the right, something big had been hitting the road. There was an old pickup truck and a squad car there. My parents couldn't figure out what was in the road. They said it wasn't a horse. It was bigger than a bear. It was brown, had shaggy fur, they could not figure out what it was. And as they're sitting there looking, the officer becomes aware of them watching. He gets into his user, pulls it off the side of the road and into the middle of the road where they can no longer see. So they pull away and go on and do their thing. And when they come back a little later, they come back that way and it's already gone. There's nothing in the road.
Completely cleaned up.
Well, we weren't aware of this until the next morning. That night, we had our investigation, and I had a whole lot of activity that night, which I think something was hitting the road, and then our research area was roughly maybe less than a quarter of a mile apart. So we were in the woods that night and getting a lot of activity. The next morning, they told us what had went on, which I did go back with audio and get both of them to describe to me exactly what they saw and what they knew that it wasn't. They said they've lived here all their lives and they'd never seen anything like this. Well, I'm going to give it to Carrie now because she started doing some in-depth research on this.
All right, awesome.
I called the Department of Transportation and to ask about something being hit in the road because it was odd that it was cleaned up so quickly. People don't do that around here, especially on the weekend. And I was told to call the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department told me to call Department of Natural Resources. Now, the Department of Natural Resources sent me back to the Department of Transportation. So I finally, she's like, okay, well, let me look it up. And she asked me for the information about where it was and then she said, yeah, I've got it here. And then she said, wait, I have to get my supervisor to talk to you about this. Let me have your name and phone number and I'll call you back. So when he finally calls me back, he wants to know my whole life story. He wants to know who my relatives are, what I'm doing, everything under the sun about this. I simply told him that I was doing a documentary on wildlife in the area. And then he proceeds to tell me that nothing was hitting the road that night. There was no cleanup there. There was no call about it. And then now you take it.
From there, we couldn't leave this alone. We had to find out what was going on. I'm not going to throw out any names here, but I've got a friend on the inside that was able to access the sheriff's database. And yes, there had been a log made that night in the database, but it had since been deleted.
Oh, man.
So at that point, we knew something was being covered up.
I wonder, that's interesting because that makes me think, I wonder if they may have a file that's kind of on it, you know, kind of like a secret hidden file that they may possibly have where they store that information, you know,
Oh,
where
I'm
they.
sure. And wasn't it the same time that emails were getting hacked?
Yeah.
Our emails were constantly getting hacked around that time. And only the addresses we used for that stuff.
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys recall, because your story actually reminds me of a similar situation that I had. I may be wrong on the date. I have to look back. It was when I was headed down to North Carolina. I was still in Virginia, and I was headed southbound on Interstate I-95, and I want to say, yeah, I'm going to say August of 2019. I do know it was 2019. Like I said, it was about a month or two before I came down to, you know, see you guys. And yeah, this is a main. Anybody that knows Interstate 95 knows it's the main highway corridor that runs parallel with U.S. Route 1 from, you know, Florida all the way up north to Maine, New Hampshire, whatever. Well, anyway, on the way down to North Carolina, I was headed southbound on Interstate 95. I was still in Virginia, and I was headed southbound on Interstate I-95. And I want to say, yeah, I'm going to say August of 2019. I do know it was 2019. Like I said, it was about a month or two before I came down to there was a strange holdup in the road. It was a slowdown because they had closed one of the lanes, and there was an exit that was blocked off. They had the exit closed off, and here in Virginia we have what they call these highway trucks. They're not they're not of the VDOT. They're not the Vehicle Department of Transportation trucks. These are maintenance trucks that usually work different highways throughout Virginia. They're called DBI. They pick up, sometimes they clean up dead animals and debris, any kind of trash that's in the roads. Well, there was several of these trucks, and there was one police car, and the police car was talking to an SUV that was just pulled off the side. And as we got to go by, I had a quick glance. I looked over to see what was going on because there was no ambulance. Like I said, there was only one police car, but the officer was talking to the lady in the SUV. And so when I looked over, I saw something on the ground covered in a yellow blanket. And from what I saw that was sticking out from it, looked very, very strange. All I could see is it had long limbs, brown, the color of brown, and what appeared to be hair or fur. And I don't know what in the world, what other species that it could have been, because I was like, I kind of have almost like a wildlife database in my brain, and everything I was running through my head, I was like, no, it doesn't match up. And and I spoke to a couple police officers. Actually, they actually spoke up when I shared this story. They actually came mentioned to me when I made a short video about it after I saw this, and a couple police officers responded. I said, if that was any known species of animal, regardless if it was a deer, bear, or whatever, that they wouldn't have it covered up like that, and they wouldn't make a big fuss like that. They would have already had moved it off the side of the road and let traffic continue on while they deal with the vehicle that hit it. So, but it was strange. Now, one thing too, like just like you guys, there's public incidents. You can go online and look up highway incidents. You can look up the time and date, location, if you couldn't put in the exact location. And I went back actually the next day when I had some time. Actually, no, it wasn't the next day. Excuse me. It was actually after I came back from my trip from North Carolina, and I did some research. And I was like, I couldn't find nothing for that location, that exit, that particular exit number in that particular town on that interstate. There was no record of no accidents and nothing. And I kind of felt that was strange because you can look up any incident and there's public record of every incident that happens throughout the day on the highways. If it, and like I said, I couldn't find no record of it. But for what I saw, it was very strange. What was it, a squatch? I don't know, but like the police officer said, if it was anything known, they wouldn't have covered it up like that. They would have, like I said, they would have normally just moved it along or something. So,
like here, they wouldn't even moved it.
Right.
If it was something more.
Yeah.
I just would have put it off the road and been done with it.
That's interesting. Pat, Wayne, what are you guys thinking about this?
Go ahead, Wayne. Wayne,
you're mute.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's all right.
How close to this incident that happened with you two ladies? How close was it to your research area?
Less than a quarter of a mile.
Less than a quarter of a mile. Yeah, I've heard of things like this happening before. I've never actually met anyone that it's happened to, and it's really cool because a lot of times you hear stuff like this and you wonder, is it just a story that's being made up? But it's cool meeting a couple of people that actually saw it. So you guys actually experienced something in the road, and then there was a cover up, basically, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, we know that there's something going on out there. I mean, they're covering it up for a reason. But yeah, that's really cool.
Exactly.
That's right.
Well, so what was the what did the scene look like out there on the road? Like, can you describe that for me again?
We're not the two that saw it. My parents saw it.
Okay. I mean, were there like flashing yellow lights involved or cop lights or anything like that? You know, it was at night. Was it at night or during the day?
Of sight to where they couldn't see anymore what was in the road.
All right. So, and you said that the sheriff's department directed you to DNR?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were just running me in circles, is all they were doing.
Okay.
They were hoping I'd give up, but I'm not that kind of person.
Right. Sure. Fair enough. But ultimately, you landed on the Department of Transportation in your state.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
And it was people at the DOT that started asking you funny questions?
I mean, they wanted to know who my granddad was.
Wow. They wanted to know who your grandfather was.
Yes.
That's that's an odd question for the DOT to ask. Yeah.
They knew where I went to school. They wanted to know everything. I mean, they were just asking questions like you were. I've never been asked the questions they asked me.
Right. And just to be clear, from beginning and end to where we're talking about now with dealing with the DOT, no one ever mentioned the word Bigfoot, right?
No.
Okay.
I told them I was doing a documentary about wildlife in the area, and I wanted to know what kind of big wildlife was going about the roads. I knew better than to say Bigfoot.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough. And they didn't just say to you when you asked that question, they didn't say, well, deer. Pretty much.
No.
Is only deer or maybe a black bear. Those are the only two large animals that might cross a road.
No, they wouldn't even say cow. They said there was no report of anything being hit that night.
Okay. Hell, I mean, deer get hit every night, really, everywhere. Yeah.
Right.
And especially where we are, what, 55 right there?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of wooded area.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's a little strange, I get where you're coming from. Getting the run around.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody show up to your house and ever follow up or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
But it wasn't long after that the people were on the bridge, was it?
About 2 weeks later, we have a bridge and then a small hill up to our home, and the bridge leads down to the swamp. And my husband and I were coming in from town one day, and it's pouring down rain. There were fire trucks, black SUVs, a few other vehicles all parked on this bridge. Men are standing out in the pouring rain. I started flashing pictures. Well, when I started, they saw the flash. When I'm flashing pictures, one of them started toward the car. Well, we backed up. We turned around, we went around the block, and we came in the other way. We passed our house. We went to the top of the hill, and we're looking at them from this direction, and they're standing in the pouring rain talking. And I start flashing pictures again from this direction.
She's a troublemaker.
So I'm getting all these pictures, and then they start up this way toward the car. They start up the hill. And my husband tells me, he says, let's just get you home before we get in trouble. So we go home, and I've got all these pictures of fire trucks and black SUVs and black trucks, black pickup trucks. And Carrie calls the Department of Transportation again, and she asks them what's wrong with our bridge.
I said, I have small kids. Do I need to stay off the bridge?
And they tell us that there's no report of anything wrong with that bridge. So why were all these people down there on the bridge? There's no home close by other than ours. Why were they on the bridge?
I mean, I'm assuming the bridge goes over a body of water.
Yeah, a swamp that leads behind our home that has all the activity.
Yeah, I don't know.
I sent Daniel pictures that I took.
We know that there's a swamp over there. That there. Yeah, I wonder if I can find it. I was thinking about that a little while ago. Yeah, that was down there bridge. Let me see. I'm not sure if I can find it. Actually, I may not be able to because the other window where I have opened up is buffering on me. So I may not. I had to. Anybody listening, I think just by judging from a couple comments I read, these ladies are from out of South Carolina. This is South Carolina. So I think there was somebody who was a little confused about the state. So yeah, so anybody that jumped on a little late, these ladies are from out of South Carolina. So yeah, I just wanted to clear that up. But yeah, and the other thing too, the swamp was on one side, which of course, you know, you got the creek that ran through there. And then where Marty and Chris took me over, where we explored, we actually saw more of the swamp actually on your side of the road. That had the all that bamboo that we explored through, and yeah, that was pretty cool looking over there. If I have to judge him from the area, you know, anybody that looks at the area, they can kind of get that sense of, I don't know. Let's just say it was a very squatchy looking area. I'll say that much because they were pointing out a lot of wild hog sign, which was very awesome.
I'm gonna have to sign you up for a TV show.
Daniel, I've just sent you 2 of those images on your messenger.
Oh, okay. Let me. Okay, my other window opened up for me. All right, awesome. So yeah, let me open up my messenger here because I'm on Facebook on the other side here.
I don't know. What do you think about that, Wayne?
All right.
I was gonna ask. I heard Daniel mention bamboo, and it seemed like I had heard someone a couple nights ago mention bamboo. Any of you guys heard of any kind of relation to bamboo and Bigfoot? I mean, it might be a strange question, and it hit me all of a sudden. Have you ladies?
Well, we know that's where a lot of the wild boar like to hide.
In bamboo?
Yes.
Okay, because yeah, I heard Daniel mention something about it, and I heard it on another show I was watching, and And I have a new research area here in Tennessee, and there's some people that are growing bamboo. There's a huge, almost forest like of bamboo in that area, and I've been getting some activity around it. And I don't know, it might be a crazy question, but I didn't know if the two might be connected somehow. I didn't know if you ladies had run into anything like that down in your area.
We have a very big area of bamboo, and it's been here, I know, over 50 years.
Okay. I think I'm gonna look into it.
Melissa.
What's those pictures?
Yeah, Melissa Carey. Yeah, Connie is asking, Melissa, do you guys hear of any vocals in your area?
Oh, yes, we do. Actually, we've got some on our Carolina Cryptid Crew YouTube channel.
Okay, what type of vocals are you getting?
Yells, screams, whistles, tree knocks,
blood curdling screams.
Okay. Now, have y'all had any visuals? Have y'all had any sightings?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yes, please. Yeah, definitely. Please tell us on that. I know the viewers want to hear that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Maybe a few days after whatever it was hitting the road, we go out in the woods looking for any new evidence, cameras. As we're walking along, Marty, my husband, and Carrie, my daughter-in-law here, are walking in front of me. I've dropped back a little bit because I keep turning around and taking pictures behind us. As we're walking, I noticed as I spun around, there was a tree shaking, and it had a lot of underbrush under it. And I say, hey, guys, this tree is moving very strangely. Well, they turn around and come back to where I'm at. We all start toward this underbrush where my camera dies.
Of course.
So I back up the bank, which gives me a better view while they're going down. There's anything down there. I see something brown. I see some brown fur. So naturally, I tell them, hey, guys, there's something down there. It's brown. I'm seeing brown fur. My husband's flipping out. What direction? What direction? Because he's trying to get a picture. It goes to my right. It goes into some higher brush. And then as I'm watching this brown fur move, in a split second, I've locked eyes with something that never should exist. It's female. I just felt it was female. Nothing, I couldn't see anything but the part of the shoulder and the head. Nothing told me it was female. I felt it was female. She had a sadness in her eyes, and I felt, now I don't know anything about mind speak, but all of a sudden I felt like something just said, don't follow me.
I had come back around and was actually standing between Melissa and this thing and watching it at the same time.
How far were you from it, Melissa?
By the look on her face, one step and this Bigfoot was gone. One step and it was like she disappeared. But she was, the underbrush was covering her, so she was gone from the area. Carrie turned and looked at me, and when I saw the shock on her face, I asked her, and she said, I saw a Bigfoot. I said, Carrie, how do you feel about it? She said, sad. I don't know why, but sad. So I'm wondering if that wasn't her mate that got hit in the road.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Now, how far away would you say
and you
you
said
were
this
from
happened just
Marty,
yeah.
how far away from her, from here to the couch?
15 feet.
Yeah, I guess about 30 foot, maybe.
About 30 foot.
Oh, wow. So you were close enough to get some facial features.
Oh, yes. I saw her face very clearly.
She looked like an Ewok.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's actually
And
pretty
like I
interesting.
said,
That's actually
I have no way of knowing it was a female. I just felt like it was a female.
Yeah.
Looked like an Ewok, huh? For real?
That's it. Just that's the only way I can describe what she looked like to me. Like not with the little teddy bear ears on top and all that, but the fuzziness of it was just like an Ewok.
And she was more of a true redhead color, an auburn.
How big? How
that's
big
pretty
was
cool.
How big?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys caught that. He was asking how big would.
I'm 5'5", and she wasn't much bigger than me, not much taller than me. She was a lot broader, but not taller.
She was downhill also.
Okay.
But I was on a bank that might have been 3 or 4 foot above.
Let's see. There was a question on here. There we go. Barry is asking. Well, let me pull it up real quick. Barry is asking, do you or your neighbors have dogs, and is there any interaction with them? I guess he's asking, do the dogs act up or act any different when you believe they're around?
Well, actually, we used to raise pit bulls. And I would have a few of my dogs have their collars removed during the night.
Oh, wow. I've heard of that happening. I've heard other people share that before.
That's not easy to do. A person can't just do that, really, without like drugging the dog or something. Wow.
I think all of our dogs were raised here as pups. So I think they got used to it. Whatever was going on outside, they adjusted. They were used to it.
Yeah, but to have their collars removed, and I mean, were the collars like, were the collars loose, or were they pretty snug on the dogs?
These were snug collars. We kept big vinyl collars on all of the dogs. And the reason we would do this is because if they get into a scuffle, you've got a handle to grab hold of the dog with. So these were very heavy duty nylon collars that would be taken off and sometimes hang across the fence.
Now, are they the kind of collars that snap in together, or like a belt?
Buckled.
Like a belt buckle?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So something with fingers.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I would ever try and take a collar, a pit bull that I'm not familiar with. That's all I have to say. Right.
That's right.
Yeah. Forget that.
Yeah. Considering that, you think anybody, if they're in their right mind, they wouldn't mess with a pit bull, especially if they don't know it, or especially if it's not theirs, So
yeah,
no way, dude.
that's I personally feel that's unlikely that a person would be doing that. And that's my opinion, but with what Pat said, I wouldn't touch a pit bull if I don't know the dog. So
Right.
Yeah. And why? That would have to be some kind of dare. You know, that had like a $5,000 bet to it or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So now you mentioned that you felt that Squatch was a female. Was there any uh, physical features that stood out? Like kind of like how the Patty did. You know, it had the. It was pretty obvious that we could say that was a female because of the protruding breast that was displayed in the footage. Was anything like that noticeable when you saw that?
On her, all I saw was her face and part of her shoulder.
Ah, okay. And the shoulders, did it look like, judging from the shoulder and the face, looked like it? Did it look kind of wide or?
Yes.
Was there a lot of hair on the face, or was the hair mainly around the face and then the face bare, like skin?
This one actually had hair on
That's
the
a good
face.
question.
That's what I was wondering because she said that it kind of reminded her like of an Ewok, and a lot of reports you get hair up around here like a man, and then you have nothing in this area. So I was curious.
I
So
think
this one
that's
had
why
hair.
it reminded me of the Ewok, like the hair on its face. Its head was rounder than. It was definitely not what I was ever expecting to see. It wasn't like Harry and the Henderson.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, it never is. It's
No.
yeah. When people didn't like get to see their faces, they always say that it was like nothing they would ever expect. That's a pretty common thing that people say. You know. What about cats? Do you have cats? Kelly wants to know if you have cats. Do they ever go missing?
Yeah,
No,
I was about to ask.
wild bobcat.
Like domesticated cats.
No,
Okay.
What did he say?
domesticated.
Yeah, Patrick Vaughn's. He mentions I recently talked to a couple with a nice deer camp with keyless entry on a door. The keys were being pushed and the beeping as they were pushed. He said, "I've tracked Squatch on their property." Interesting.
Yeah.
So, huh. Now, you guys say that it's been kind of quiet around there recently. You guys haven't or mentioned something. You thought you heard some howls.
Yeah, we've heard some howls. If one of us walks outside, you occasionally will get the tree knock from the woods. The howls are usually, I'd say, 10 o'clock or after if one of us has to walk out. And it's not every night. These are occasionally.
I think we just haven't made them mad lately.
Now, do you feel like when you're getting these vocalizations, do you feel like, and obviously it's going to be, just clearly speculation, but do you feel like maybe they're trying to get your attention with anything or just communicating with each other?
I would think each other.
Okay, so you don't feel like, cause I'm kind of curious, do you feel like y'all began to develop a relationship with them in any way?
No, I don't see myself petting these things or feeding them.
You don't want to give them a big hug?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
They've lived all
Johnny
these
Tucker.
years without
He's
me
a
every time.
Yeah, Johnny Tucker from North Carolina is asking, do you hear single tree knocks or do you hear multiple tree knocks at a time?
Most of them are single. We've heard a multiple twice.
Yeah, I've heard multiple on rare occasions, but I have heard multiple, which is actually quite fascinating to hear multiple.
Yeah, it is.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Do you hear most of the tree knocks? Yeah. I'm assuming you hear most of them in the evening, or do you ever hear any of them at night?
In the evening, I would say.
Or in the day.
Late evening, early morning.
Yeah, we used to hear them waiting for the bus at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. What's your opinion? What's y'all's thoughts on the Squatches? You think they're, a lot of people believe they're nocturnal. They're more active at night, which I believe they are to an extent. But a lot of people believe they're down and stay more hidden away during the daytime, which would make sense considering daytime there's light, there's more chances of being seen. But what's y'all's opinions? Do you think they're more active at night, or do you think they're out and about during the daytime?
I think it's both. But with the activities that we get, it's usually late spring. I would say April and May. And then it's again September and October are the heaviest months for activity.
Do you ladies get to do a lot of nighttime investigations, or are you out mainly in the daytime?
It's random.
Whatever strikes the mood.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Joni's asking, do you have neighbors that's ever heard anything, or have your neighbors ever shared any information about these creatures?
It's a good question.
Okay, my closest neighbors are my parents. And my father and mother both have heard yells. The BFRO has 9+ sightings located in our woods. Daniel, you met my neighbors that had a sighting down below us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Now, Kelly Ray Jones is asking a question. This is interesting. And I'm assuming he's referring to the Squatches. He's asking, what's the general consensus there in your community about them?
That's another good question.
Well, a lot of people in this small country community are old school, and they're not going to talk.
Yep. They won't.
But I think a good majority of them know that they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Those people they have a live and let live policy, I think. I know what you're saying when you say that. Like,
yeah,
I get that. A lot of really rural, old school people, man, just it's like they know they're there, but they just don't want to talk about it. Just live and let live,
I think the interest has really grown since the Bigfoot festival, though. I think more people are open to the possibility.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you bring the Bigfoot festival up. I actually do recall speaking. I've got to meet a couple other people. Actually, a couple people have actually come forward and shared it privately with a couple of us. They didn't make it a big public thing, and like Dale Glimp, he introduced me to one lady from South Carolina who had seen one on the edge of a field. I'm not sure of her exact location down there, but her story was very convincing, and it frightened her. But she'll never forget what she saw. If I'm not mistaken, her story actually involved some rock throwing. She actually had some rocks thrown at her. If I'm remembering correctly. So, but yeah, a couple people have come forward about it. And the other thing is too, and part of why I'm actually running this South Carolina Bigfoot series on podcast. Ladies such as yourself that are willing to come forward. We had a South Carolina resident a couple of weeks ago when we went live with our first South Carolina residents, and she shared a lot of pretty cool information, and I know I personally, I think I speak for the rest of the panel. We appreciate you guys coming forward and sharing your information with us.
Absolutely.
Because little by little, this is actually, it's little by little, it's helping others that are listening say, well, hey, we seen something too. A lot of people, if they find the right people, and they feel comfortable, they'll be willing to talk.
Right.
So I've learned that here in Virginia. People, they don't come out all at once, but once they get to know you and get familiar with you, they start sharing stuff with you. So, but I'm also the type that's not afraid to pry and ask questions. Because I at work, I ask a lot of questions of people at work. I deal with a lot of contractors and stuff, and a lot of these guys are hunters, and I get into talking to them about things sometimes, and especially if they see me wearing my Bigfoot shirt to work, sometimes I get questioned about it, and it opens up the door to a conversation,
That's right.
So I like doing that kind of thing. So, so yeah. But that's why we like doing this. It is fun.
It's my opinion that the best way that we're going to learn about these things is through eyewitness encounters. We don't have one somewhere that we can study. We don't have one in a cage somewhere that we can study. We're not videotaping them in the woods. We're not able to do that. So the best way to learn about their behavior is through eyewitness accounts. And like the sighting tonight with the hairy face, that was something new to me, because most of the people I've talked to, the face has been bare of hair and it's been skinned. So it's talking to people that have seen them, people like y'all, that enables us to start putting the pieces together. So I mean, it's very, very valuable.
That's how the books I write are. They're encounters by real people, true encounters. And I'm just trying to help them get their story out.
Yeah, it's very valuable service that you're doing.
And as I mentioned before,
and if we
on
don't
other
work
podcasts,
together, we'll never get anywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But as you guys share information, and every time we have guests on here, it might be just one thing that we get from, it could be a number of things, or it could be just one thing. If I get one thing out of somebody's story that collaborates with either mine or another story that I heard, I jot that down. I make note of that, because that's, like I said, even if it's one piece of information, that's valuable information, because something that you guys experienced, something that you guys described, somebody else has described it too, somewhere along the lines, and shared that similar information. So it is. We lost our.
Yeah.
They must have lost our
Looks
connection.
like we lost them, but it's about that time for me anyway, Daniel.
Okay. Yeah, I was watching the time. It's we've been on for an hour and 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes, hour and 10.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure we'll get our guest pop back on here in a little bit. So,
all right. Well,
hey man, thanks for coming on again.
I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. All right, and our guests are back.
Okay. Ladies, I have to jump off here.
Um,
It was very nice getting to talk to you, ladies, and I'll be listening to a little bit more. But yeah, I'll be following you guys and see what's going on down there. And again, it was nice to get to talk to you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Daniel, Pat, y'all have a good night, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you, Wayne.
Absolutely. Take it easy, Wayne. All right, so it's down to the four of us. All right.
So I have a question.
So yeah, you guys lost connection there, but.
So.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, like, what kind of exactly what kind of canopy ratio do you have there in western northwest South Carolina? Is it mostly hardwoods or mostly pines?
Hardwoods or pines? Hardwoods where we're at.
Mostly, okay. So you get a pretty decent canopy drop then in late. Yeah.
Yeah, they do have a combination of. They do have some pines in there, and if you go down to their swamp area, yeah, is there a lot of thick brush in there? Bamboo, a lot of bamboo. So yeah, they have a little bit of everything down there. So
okay.
So yeah.
Oh hey, what's up, Gary? What's up, Gary?
Yeah, Gary's in the house.
Yeah, man.
He must be taking a break. He's taking a break from his podcast. So
yeah.
Well, Daniel, we're gonna have to cut out soon.
Right.
My phone's gonna go dead.
What's that?
Okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. Their phone's going dead. They're gonna have to drop off soon.
Okay.
Well, I tell you what, it was great having you guys on here. Now, this next coming Friday, we won't be going live. I'll be out in the woods without phone reception. So the following Friday, September 18th, we will have Scott Phillips on here with us from South Carolina. So yeah, if you ladies get a chance, you guys have to tune in. I'll have Scott with us. So
okay.
And then yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having Scott with us too. You know, we're gonna keep this South Carolina Bigfoot episode going. So yeah, Scott will be our third South Carolina. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and so yeah, you guys have anything you guys want to share or throw out there for anybody? Maybe promote your books and maybe let everybody know where they can find your books and check them out at.
MelissaGeorge.net.
Ah, there you go. That's actually pretty simple. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, you guys be sure to check out that website, MelissaGeorge.net. Melissa has a list of books that she has published. They're actually very fascinating. I have some of my book. Oh man, I'm gonna feel bad. I don't have it next to me. I had one of your books right here. I move stuff around all the time, but actually, yes, right over here. Hold on. Yeah, I got books everywhere right here. They're scattered. But here's one of them right here that I have. So, Squash and Native Truth. So
cool.
That was a good one.
But yeah, she has several other books. Guys, go check that out. Absolutely. MelissaGeorge.net. Anything else you guys want to throw out there real quick?
We want to thank you guys for having us. We had a great time tonight.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Absolutely. And anytime in the future, because we do have random Bigfoot discussions on here quite often. We talk about different Bigfoot events, happenings, Bigfoot research. Now, we like to share open views and opinions half the time, which we'll probably get ready to get into here in a little while to finish out our podcast for the next 45 minutes or so. So yeah, you guys are welcome to join on, jump on. So
Okay.
but yeah, again, thank you guys very much. So
Thanks,
You
ladies.
guys have a
you
great
ladies have a good night, and absolutely. And until next time.
Bye.
All right, bye bye. All right. Well, that was actually very interesting, very exciting to hear that their information and their stories.
Yeah.
See, well,
Yeah, it sounds
what do you
like
what do you gather from that, Pat?
it sounds like they got something going on down there, over there, I should say. Um, finding tracks, and of course, getting the audio activity confirmation of that. There's something going on. I'm not sure what was going on with the whole, road being shut down thing. It's hard to like disseminate that from a, fourth person perspective, but yeah, there's, some interesting things happening there, which is why I asked him about the canopy, you know. So
Right. Now, I have seen they have sent me pictures. I have seen them before. She said she has resent them. I couldn't get them to pull up. I'll have to send them to you later. Um, but there was a picture of a cluster of vehicles down there at the bridge when they were experiencing all that craziness that was happening down there. Um, so yeah, it was interesting. And Kelly Ray Jones says he wants a poster of me and you for his office.
right.
So
Yeah, man. Yeah, he asked me about that earlier actually. He was wanting something from the
okay.
Yeah, and I'm like I'm trying to think of like I don't know. I don't have anything from the show that's like a poster, of me or anything.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I never designed posters I've ever had, which it's not hanging up on the wall right now. I had a big poster. It's in a frame. It's actually put away right now. It's of our first annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference, which I had smaller printouts of that. Which I'll like. Well, this one right here. This is actually I need to update this one. This was supposed to be for this year if the event fell through.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'll be updating that there, so for 2021. So, but yeah, it's yeah, this one here. So, but yeah,
I'll send
but
send you I'll send you something, Kelly. Like I'll send you something. Yeah. Like I'll figure out something, dude, and I'll send it to you. I just hit me up on Messenger, give me your address, and I'll figure it out. Yeah.
Now, Kelly, if you want a poster with my face on it, it's going to cost you. No, I'm just joking. So
yeah.
Since our guests, I wanted to make mention since our guests are off here with the viewing audience that we have going on right now. We'll get into a Bigfoot discussion here. If you guys have any questions, we'll try our best to answer them to the best of our ability. So we got the chat opened up. We got Facebook and YouTube both responding here, so which is awesome. So, and Gary said he had texted you, Patrick. He calls you Patrick. Is your name Patrick? Because I know I'm used to calling you Pat.
Yeah. No, my name's Patrick, but like Gary knows me as Pat. I think he was talking to somebody on in chat on YouTube, Patrick Vaughn.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting mixed up about. Okay, I forgot Patrick was on there. Yeah, Patrick Vaughn.
Yeah.
I keep getting mixed up with it. Okay. Okay. Here's a question from Patrick Vaughn. What's the most traumatic experience with Sasquatch y'all ever had? Now, Pat, I know you had one that made you not want to go back ever seeing one again?
No.
Come on.
Yeah.
Everybody
Okay.
wants to hear it.
So, I mean, the most traumatic experience I've ever had with these things is anytime I'm around them. I mean, I have a more blanketed view of them. I don't like these things, whatever they are. I don't like them. And so when they come around, and it's not traumatic. Like, again, like both times I interacted with them, I never left camp. Like my vehicle was right there. I could have bolted, So I stood my ground.
Yeah.
I didn't leave camp. It wasn't traumatic. It was weird. It was a little frightening, but definitely not traumatic, man. I'm not traumatized by these things yet. So yeah, man, like I just don't, I have a different opinion of Bigfoot than most people in the Bigfoot world. Like, I don't want to see one unless I'm 400 feet in the air. That's kind of my view.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Patrick Vaughn, he said we should all do a show. Gary, you know what? Gary would be great to have on here too. Patrick, Gary, us. I haven't spoken with Gary in quite a while, and
yeah, man,
he's got a great podcast. And Gary's asking me, have I seen the group I've been studying lately? In all honesty, I haven't had no interaction, nothing major in a while. However, I'm hoping all that's going to change starting tomorrow, because I will be out in the woods, camping, squatching, hiking, exploring for a whole week, and I'll be out of phone reception. I will be doing some photo. I'll take photos of anything I come across. I'll try to put some video footage together. If it's anything good and worth putting together, for those who are on my YouTube channel, I will put together a field video. If you're new to my YouTube channel, Bigfoot Zone, you guys know that there's actually there is field videos on my YouTube channel that I have put together, and there's my latest one is called Bigfoot on the Ridge. It's a documentary. It was actually made on Christmas Day of 2019. So that's the latest one I got. Feel free to check it out. So yeah, it's a documentary I put together, and you guys might find it informational, informative, And if you're new, I try to make my videos informative, especially for the newbies, more or less, and sometimes some of the information I share in my videos, sometimes they're not always for the noob, because sometimes, for those who there's those that get out there and kind of think they know it all, kind of thing, So I like to make corrections without trying to sound insulting to people, if that makes any sense. But check that out. If you guys have not seen that, it's called Bigfoot on the Ridge. It was updated. It was made on December 25th, 2019. It's a Bigfoot documentary. So yeah, definitely check that out. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you guys are new on checking this out, Bigfoot Zone ECBRO, feel free to subscribe. And a lot of you guys are viewing this on Facebook from my ECBRO like page. So the following on that is almost at 2,300. So thank you guys for following that page. I think from now on we will continue. We will continue to air off the ECBRO page. Between that and YouTube together, I think we have, we've got a pretty good audience that's been steady here for almost the hour and a half that we've been on. So yeah, for those who are following, thank you guys very much.
And
Daniel,
Yeah.
you are saying you are not politically correct. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I just
Especially
want
if you
to
see my other. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Daniel's not politically correct. Neither am I. But we don't talk politics here on the Bigfoot channel, and we don't talk Bigfoot on the politics channel, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we
we
have a
don't.
lot of Bigfoot people on here, so maybe we should let them know. For those who like to follow politics, there is a separate podcast that just started last Saturday. If you go on, if you're on Facebook, there's a new page. It's called Everyday News. Yeah, Everyday News. Um, as of right now, to our audience grows, I think we're going to try to do that once a month. We may do it weekly. We talked about doing it weekly. Um, so the our followers and likes actually have grown. We got over 230 right now. So because I just started that last Saturday, well actually last Friday, and we actually it was last Sunday. I'm sorry, I correct the. So yeah, check that out. It's called Everyday News. It's on Facebook. Like and follow that. If you want to listen to our um, discussions on politics, feel free. As Pat said, we try to keep politics separated, so that's why we created the politic page. So definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to give address a couple of things real quick. Number one, like a big shout out to Gary. Like, so Gary, if you didn't know Daniel, like he was in bad health, and so he kind of dropped off the radar for a minute. I think he said earlier in the comments that he had a stroke, and I actually didn't know that. So Gary, I hope you're doing well, brother. Last time I saw you on Facebook, you seemed to be pretty normal. So, but yeah, like, like when I met Gary, he he brought me on a show about a year ago, and that was the first time I had done anything Sasquatch in well over a year. Because I just kind of let everything go. So Gary brought me on. He got me back into it, man. So like Gary's responsible for like me even sitting here right now with you, Daniel. Gary played a big part in that, man. It got me back in the game, wanting to talk about Sasquatch on air after I'd had a podcast for 2 years at that point, So yeah, shout outs to you, Gary. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. And yeah, like we definitely got to have Gary on the show one night, in a few weeks or something, man. Like he's a good dude. He's a real good dude. And the other thing I wanted to something Kelly. Oh yeah. Oh, and Kelly brought up. He said, did you hear about Bigfoot Odyssey? Sad. Like, no, Kelly. Bigfoot Odyssey.
No, what happened?
Yeah, Bigfoot Odyssey's not going anywhere. It's they talked about shutting it down on air. Actually, they talked about it on air openly, but they're gonna give it another shot. I'm actually a moderator now there, so they added a bunch of new mods. I'm one of them, and we're trying to figure out the rules. I talked to Daniela tonight right before we went on air, and her and I had a good 20-minute long conversation about it. So the Bigfoot Odyssey group is not going anywhere. Their show is definitely still around. So all things are good in the Bigfoot Odyssey world. They're just going to try and figure out how to manage the group a little better, because they only had 6 moderators for a 6,000 person group, and that was part of the problem. I think they're realizing. But yeah, Kelly, like the group is still intact, and it should be fine.
I'm 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 a little unfamiliar. If it's is it okay to bring it up or discuss like, what exactly happened with Bigfoot Odyssey?
It was just that people like they were there. It was a combination of things. So they, they had their they did, they did a show with oh God, what's his name? The name escapes me. The crazy guy who is trying to start a cult. Um,
Johnson.
yeah, Matthew Johnson. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
And so like they did that show with him, and they pretty much just let him hang himself on that show, which I actually thought was quite amusing, very entertaining. But he was a part of the group, so I think he kind of stirred up some trouble in there, and it was a combination of that and plus some of the things that like happened on your ECBRO site, which is the same old blob squatch pictures,
Right.
and people will post hoax pictures, and they were getting like tired of all that stuff. But I think it was Matthew Johnson coming into the group and stirring up trouble that really like broke the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And they went on air and they were like, you know what, we're just going to shut down the group, and everybody in the group kind of freaked out, was like, no, we love the group, and of course they do. It's 6,000 members. It's a good group. So they changed.
Yeah, he gets a lot of viewers. I mean,
yeah. But he gets a lot of that on the YouTube side. I thought it was weird the night they did that. They didn't even post the show on the Facebook side. It was only in YouTube, and I thought that was odd. And now I see why. But anyway, long story short, they decided to add more mods, create new rules, and be a lot more, use a better filter for who they let in and things like that. So yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's a good group.
Yeah, I know. I get different people suggesting potential guests to me sometimes. If I don't know them, I will look into them, and if I have the slightest doubt that they're like some wacko or whatever, if I don't feel comfortable, I won't invite them. I'll let somebody else take them on, But there's a lot of people I do know in the Bigfoot community. Johnson's one of them, and I know his history. You know, honestly, that somebody like him, I personally wouldn't have never invited him, knowing his background and history. But I know some people like to take chances with people, just to, But
no, I would invite him. I would invite him on my show, but you know me, you know me. I would challenge him. Like, I mean, I don't mind. Right. I don't mind debating anybody, but like, to me, like Matthew Johnson, he's low hanging fruit. Like, he's easy to debunk. He's easy to like call out, show. It's easy. Like, the guy will just show you who he is or reveal himself to everyone. So I mean, I would debate. I would have him on the show, and I'd be very, very fair with him, not angry or anything. But I mean, the guy's just he's easy low hanging fruit.
Well, the only question I have in my mind that I would ask him just to hear his response, and I don't know if anyone's ever asked him this since that one incident. But my question to him is, what made you convince somebody to stop taking their medication that was keeping them alive? That's what I would ask him. You convinced somebody that would be healed by this Bigfoot, magical Bigfoot. You don't need to take your medication no more. This Bigfoot's going to heal you. The man believed Johnson. The man stopped taking his meds. the man died. I forget how soon after that. Those meds were keeping that guy alive going. But
Yeah.
Matthew Johnson convinced that man. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's my one question. What made you do that? What made you convince that man? What made you so sure that, I mean, a lot of people, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know. I'm almost at a loss of words for it, but, but so.
I can tell you right now, he wouldn't answer that question. That question would just frustrate him. That would be one of the questions if it came up in a live stream engaging him. That would be one of those questions where he would just eventually leave. He would get so frustrated he would just leave the stream.
Right.
Because you can't, like, people like that don't want to be challenged. They can't handle it. So,
right.
I know, I know what you're talking about, and it's sad what happened to that guy, and I'm not going to say it's all Matthew Johnson's fault, or even that he convinced. It's just, Matthew Johnson has the whole faith healing, narrative going, like, and people come out there. I mean, it's like a cult, dude. He's trying to start a little cult, and there ain't nothing good about that. Like, there ain't nothing good about that scenario. Ain't nothing good about that dude. And now it's at his property, right? So, now the Council of 12.
Oh,
well, now they're actually at my property. They decided to relocate to my property. Like, okay, whatever, dude. You're a cult. You're trying to be a cult. And you're failing. Yep. Thank God.
I mean, it's some years ago. He had one of his conventions he held at the Soha convention. I don't know if he even hosts them anymore, but one of the last ones I can recall that it was considered or called the Big Reveal. Yeah, he didn't have a real big turnout, but he had enough people there.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't think he didn't reveal nothing, but just
right. No, yeah,
like a mumbo jumbo,
His weirdness has progressed over the years. You know what I mean? It's progressed. Right. And now to the point, and I said we're not gonna. I said we don't talk politics here, but I have to mention this because I remember watching him on Bigfoot Odyssey, with Carrie and Daniela, and people were kind of buying into his story along the way. And I was like, I was rolling my eyes. I'm like, what, how are you people buying into this, man? And what was funny, and this is no joke, everyone, I don't think they deleted it. I think it's still up on the Bigfoot Odyssey channel. And it was a couple of months ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago. When everybody jumped ship is when Matthew Johnson said, yeah, and one day one of them came out of the woods and said to me, Trump 2020. Catch that?
Yeah, I heard. Oh my.
And I'm not lying. Go look at it. I'm not even exaggerating. He literally said a Sasquatch came out of the woods and endorsed President Trump. Like, and that's when everybody jumped ship. That's when everybody went, whoa, wait, what am I watching here? This is crazy. And I'm like, that's the crazy thing. Like, everything else is saying, and that's the crazy thing, like I thought it was hilarious that's when the audience was like, whoa, this guy's full of crap. And I'm like, it was just funny to me.
Yeah.
So So that actually happened, and any of you can go see it. Go to the Bigfoot Odyssey page, and just do a channel search for Matthew Johnson, and you'll see that interview, and you'll see that point where the audience just said, "Whoa, this is nuts now," And yeah, he is a nut. I mean, he is just a nut.
Wow.
But yeah.
But one thing that Patrick Vaughn mentioned, he said I put it up there earlier. He said his circle's small, but if it's not real, he has nothing to do with that. That brings me to a point where I once made a statement on here in the past. Now we may invite guests on here. Our guests, when we have guests on here, anybody should understand that we're here to listen to them, to hear their story, to hear their views and opinions about what they believe. But for the record, if you agree or disagree, that's fine. But don't let it reflect on us on the panel, because we don't know what they're going to share. That's why we have guests on here, get to know them. As I mentioned, I do like to try to get familiar with our guests before they come on. You get a little bit of background feed on them if I don't know them. I've taken chances on past, and even if they speak a bunch of woo and crazy talk, I let it be for what it is. It can be entertainment to us. Even if you don't believe or agree with what somebody's sharing, just like I said, don't just take it for what it's worth. And watching the panel, I never had no disrespectful comments towards any of our guests, that's cool. I appreciate that. But at the same time, we're very open. Pat, you guys, for those who've been watching and listening, Pat's very objective. Pat, we both like to question people. We question things to try to get a better look into them, and try to understand them. So, but yeah, so yeah, some of our guests might be entertaining with depending on what they share. So.
Yeah.
Jim Jerkins, Nikki is not with us tonight. She actually had a guest. Her and her husband, they actually had a guest unexpectedly show up. So she thought she was going to be late, but it looks like she's not making it. So, yeah, and I do want to remind everybody real quick too that our next show won't be till the 18th. We're going to continue the South Carolina Bigfoot show episode series on the 18th. So, because this coming Friday, there won't be this next coming Friday, there will not be a show. Because starting tomorrow, I'm headed out to the woods. I'll be out in the woods for a whole week. So, I just wanted to throw that out there as a reminder. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there you guys go. If all right. So yeah, if you guys are not familiar. For those who are on, because I see we have a lot of YouTube viewers right now, and if you guys are on Facebook, if you're not on Pat's page, it's called Squatch Talk. You have correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have just a page, or do you have just a group, or both?
It's Squatch Talk is a group. Yeah.
A group. Okay.
Yeah, the page I have is called Prime Ape Objective, and that's a different name. But Squatch Talk is the name of the podcast that I started 3.5 years ago, and I finally created a group for it. Like maybe 2 months ago, so it's still growing.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. So yeah, if you guys are on Facebook, go look that up and join that group. So since I won't be here this next coming Friday, did you want to schedule and run a show that Friday night then?
I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to a few people, and scheduling might be all over the map.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like I don't know.
So I guess meanwhile, if people,
yeah.
So if people are, if they do follow your page, if they join it, of course, if you do that, they'll go ahead and get that notification then. So
Yeah, and
make sure you guys follow that page.
Yeah, I'll definitely promote it. So even if it's on a Wednesday night or whatever, I'll promote it. Yes, I did. The hair's gone.
I noticed it before Kim even asked me about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gone. Finally. It's like I'm free. The hair's gone. So yeah, I mean, I will be scheduling some stuff, and Daniela asked me to be on her show Hidden Existence, which is like Daniela from Bigfoot Odyssey. That's like her show is Hidden Existence, and so I'll be on there too. I'll promote that as well. But yeah, like I said before, like I said last week, while Daniel's out in the woods, I'm gonna have Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum on my show and Cliff Rockman, maybe Wes Germer. So yeah, I got a big lineup for the show while Daniel's in the woods.
He's lying.
Hey,
giving people false.
I have all the emails. I have all the emails for all three people I just mentioned. I can ask them to be on the show, so I'm not necessarily lying. I can ask them.
You can ask them, but there's no confirmation as of right now. You're just mentioning wishful thinking.
But yeah, I do. But yeah, like we were talking before, like I do want to start a debate, at least on my end, on the Squash Talk end, like a debate series, which would just be a 1v1 situation, so me and somebody else to debate whatever in the Bigfoot world or outside of it, like have a skeptic on, some kind of skeptic, like it's all the, it's like and just have a healthy debate discussion with anybody like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up. There's a podcast that I'll be on the 19th, which is a Saturday. I was asked to be on, and I scheduled it, and it's a fairly new one from what I'm gathering. I'm trying to find the name of it. Oh, where in the world? Oh, here we go. It's called Everything Imaginable. Yeah, Everything Imaginable podcast. So, when that gets closer to the date, I'll be on the 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, if you guys want to listen to me talk, I'll be sure to share that. I'll share it on my page. I'll share it on Facebook. Unfortunately, I don't know. There's no way for me to share it on YouTube. So if you guys follow me on Facebook, on the EC Bureau like page, and the EC Bureau Facebook group, or on my timeline, I'll definitely share it. So
yeah, and like I said earlier, dude, like we should invite Gary on one night, like first chance we get,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had Gary on. We've actually had Gary on in the past, and he's had me on his as well. So,
yeah.
let me look up, see if I can find.
And
Eric, you have a good night too, man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, Eric. Thanks for hanging out, bro. And I at some point, actually, I will be reaching out to Meldrum, because I had him ready to go on a show one night, and my co-host was having technical problems, and I could have just went on. I could have just like pulled the trigger on that and done it without my co-host, and I decided to just support, and so I wish I would have just done it, but I didn't. So I'm gonna reach out to Meldrum again and get him back on.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, I know he gets a lot of messages, but yeah, definitely keep reaching out to him. That'll be awesome. Yeah, if you want to contact Cliff Brackman, you'll have to contact him through email. He only responds to email, so. But he will respond to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's me and Cliff Brackman in the past, we've had discussions back and forth. So.
Yeah.
On various things.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I'm all about reaching out to Cliff. Like.
Yeah.
That was a really cool. That was a very cool show that he did with the Southern Bigfoot Alliance guys, Brian and Shane.
Yeah, they did real good with that. Yeah, I really enjoyed that myself. So.
Yeah, and Cliff was, I think I kind of had a vision of what like Cliff was, and I was wrong about it. After watching that, I was like, okay, like I kind of had that guy wrong, So yeah, I'd love to talk to Cliff on here.
Yeah, I remember when I first got to meet Cliff in person at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. Because it was awesome. I tell you what, Cliff really blew my mind because when I first got to meet him, we had a discussion. Then we got into a second discussion. We had like 2 or 3 discussions at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. And what really impressed me was like the next day in a crowd, I'm walking downstairs in the lodge, and he's over there on the other side talking with some people, and then he's walking around. I wasn't really paying him attention, but I'm walking along headed somewhere, and what impressed me was he knew me enough to call out my name and say hi, and which I was like, oh, hey, Cliff, because he's like, hey, Daniel, which was actually, I found that very encouraging, like kind of like, man, that's like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like he knew me enough to call me out of the crowd, like to say hi, something simple like that. It was like, man, he's a cool dude,
Yeah.
And then there was another incident where I had my daughter next to me, and we were getting a couple more pictures taken with Cliff, and my daughter asked, because the only people there from the Find a Bigfoot show was Cliff and Bobo, and my daughter, she leans in to ask Cliff. She wanted to know. She was just curious. Where's Renee? She asked where was Renee at, and it was funny just the way he responded to her. He leaned into her and said they weren't invited. So yeah, I don't know. It was just cute. The moment if you would have had to been there, it was kind of like comical, and it went at the same time. But just the way he responded, like she wasn't invited. So yeah, Cliff's a pretty cool laid back guy though. So
yeah.
But
I just like I can't wait. Like I can't wait to have a discussion with Cliff, and it'll be a great discussion. I just can't wait till the part where I get to tell him like, hey, dude, you're not you're not the person in the Bigfoot world who's been on the biggest television show. Actually, I am. Not you.
And then he'll be like, well, please explain. But I can probably tell you he got paid more than you.
Oh yeah, definitely. Technically speaking, 15 million viewers an episode versus about, I don't know, 800,000 an episode. Like, sorry, my ratings blow you out of the water, bro. You didn't know that, did you? Yeah.
No, wait. Then I can see it getting competitive. Like, well, how many seasons did you run? How many episodes did
Like,
you? I can see it going back and forth.
Sure. I don't know. Like, I mean, there's only viewership is the only thing I can like throw out there, obviously, but it's interesting. And I mean, I would always preface that actually with, I thought that Finding Bigfoot was actually, it was good TV. It was well produced. Once they found their rhythm, once everybody involved found their rhythm, it was very well produced. It was very entertaining. A lot of people in the Bigfoot world will like make fun of Finding Bigfoot, right? Because of Matt Moneymaker and because well, did they ever find big? Like all that stuff. It was actually really good TV, and they did have successful television show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So it was good TV. Whether people in the Bigfoot world like it or not, it wasn't made for people in the Bigfoot world. It was made for the general public, and so it was a very good balance of things. And I mean, the principal cast was like spot on, brilliant. Those four people. Those four people balanced each other out very well, and in a natural way, not in a produced way. It was very natural. You could tell, their actual personalities were in play. So I, for whatever it's worth, my 2 cents, a guy that's been in television, that was actually a really good show.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I think Cliff, if you compare characters and their, each individual on their character, I think it was pretty obvious, if you pay attention to each one. Yeah. Now Matt Moneymaker, he was kind of had a big head, like to puff up, sound very intelligent, sound like he knew facts about Bigfoot. And, that's one thing I noticed about him. He acted more of a know-it-all, and kind of just the way he was trying to talk, he was like, there was even a documentary or episode where it showed him, he was a little younger, but he was talking to a bunch of students and talking to them about Bigfoot, answering questions. Where does this man get his facts from? There's no facts about Bigfoot. The only facts that we could have is maybe personal ones, something that we observed. But he's giving all these stories about, or making all these statements, Yeah. But
yeah.
And then you got somebody like Renee. She's supposed to be the objective one.
Right.
I don't know if it was part of the way they made her, or if that was really her character. She was beyond objective. She was like,
it was
like, I think she took her objectiveness, and she's supposed to be in the science field. She would just didn't seem like to keep an open mind too much. She was like ready to throw out everything. That's the way I took it.
Yeah, that was her role.
Like Bobo.
That was her role on the show. Is that that she was the skeptic, But to be honest with you, again, I mean, it might take it for what it's worth. My professional opinion, is like she played it. I thought she played that role perfectly, and I always felt it was natural. Like I never felt it was forced or that she was ever acting. Really, I felt she played her part in that group well. And I'll say that for Moneymaker too. Like people love to make fun of Moneymaker, but like he was kind of the Simon Cowell of the group, like it's the guy you love to hate, but and it's all goofy. I mean, don't get me wrong. The running joke is like, if you hear a twig break in the branch in the woods, oh, it's Bigfoot, like that was his thing, right? But a lot of that's production. It's all how they make you look,
Yeah. Now, as far as Cliff, I always had a lot of respect for him too, because I took him to be more. He was objective too, but he was very clearly open-minded, and and he was intelligent. He has education. He's got a degree in education. But he knew how to word himself, and it just he was easy to understand. How I like Paul Halsey mentioned that her dad was a Bigfooter. So
who's that? Renee? Like Renee's dad? Who?
Yeah, he's referring to Renee. Yeah, her father was a Bigfooter. So
okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So yeah, Deborah. Yeah, Deborah makes a good point. Yeah, they always had suspense.
Yeah, and
one
that's
thing. Of course, they got to keep the viewers. That's what they kept them watching. The suspense.
Yeah, that's production.
It does it. It leaves you on edge. You're on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this, like, I think it was the second season. Like they were gonna quit the show because of something that was produced in something in production, which was they were about to go to commercial, and I believe they were in Florida, and they had a thermal camera shot going, and they had a thermal camera of a deer out in the field, right? And so production took that footage and they combined it with audio of Matt Moneymaker saying, "Oh, is that a squatch?" It was clearly a deer. Like, I mean, you see the freaking antlers, the head. It was the most absurd thing ever, and they almost quit the show over that shot, over that post-production shot that was a teaser going into commercial, and they took exception to that. They said, "Man, you do that kind of crap again, we're out of here. We're real Bigfooters. That's like that direction is unacceptable." And the show, to give them credit for standing their ground as principal cast, the show changed after that. It changed for the better, and it became a better show and more entertaining show, and all that kind of crap, like that absurd level, of showing a deer or saying it's a squatch, that all changed and went away, and that's when they started wearing their own cameras and going out by themselves without any production around. So yeah, it just kind of interesting stuff that happened with the evolution of that show from my perspective.
Yeah, there was a couple other incidents, other episodes of different scenes I remember. There were certain ones I wasn't really sure what to think of on them, but yeah, overall it was me, like everybody else that watched it, it was something that we look forward to watching. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was one of those shows that because it was a daily Bigfoot thing that showed what was I think it aired on nights or whatever it was, and so that was exciting. It was something to look forward to every week, kind of like how some people look forward to listening to podcasts. Everybody has their favorite podcasts and which ones they want to listen in on.
Yeah.
So, but just like The Walking Dead, Dead had tons of fans. It was. So I'm sure if it ever came back, I'm sure you're gonna have a big audience on that, a lot of viewers. So, but Deborah mentions that she liked the town hall when people told their stories. Yeah, that was fascinating. That's one thing I really appreciated is people telling those weren't paid actors. Yeah, they were organized by production on how to get in there and sit and blah blah blah. But those were real people telling real stories. So that was interesting. So
yes. So the town halls and finding Bigfoot, they were 100% legit. They would really have a town hall, and they 100 people would show up, or maybe sometimes more.
Right.
And yeah, the producers at the end, the producers would pick out the stories that they wanted to follow, obviously, because they would follow up with that and get those people, on camera at the locations. But when those people were standing there, telling their stories, that was 100% real. All of it was real.
Oh yeah.
At that point, and then it moved on into a production phase. But those people were still telling their stories, and like you said, they weren't paid actors. They weren't
right.
They weren't any kind of situation like that. It was so that's what gave a dose of actual reality to the show, and made it more appealing, I think, to people, and obviously to a broader audience. Again, the majority of people that watch that show are not in the Bigfoot world. They were just the general public watching television. And ultimately that's what made the show the success that it was. And it was a very successful show.
Right. And unfortunately, a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people weren't into Bigfoot watching that. However, I believe that it created some enthusiasts. It definitely created some enthusiasts, and I think it brought forth a lot of newbies. And I guess a lot of people developed their mindset off of what finding Bigfoot was.
Yeah.
However, there's nothing wrong with that. Depends on how they take it and where they go with it. But everybody has their own way of conducting their research that puts themselves into this field that wants to explore for, as what I call it, an unknown species. But again, we all have our own way of exploring or researching this topic. One thing I've always took into to heart, and one thing I always kept in my research that I learned, it was I don't remember her name. This one particular primatologist. One thing, when it comes to researching a species such as Bigfoot, and I shared this, and I took this as my own research, and it's actually helped me in my own conclusions, to conduct better research, because I'm not, a researcher is not somebody who's got to be out in the woods all the time. That doesn't make you a researcher. You're just a field explorer or whatever, a hiker. I like to conduct research out of the field. I like to research and read, look up things, compare notes. Here's one way to sum it up. This is how I conduct my research. Everybody has a belief of what Bigfoot might be, or to them, whatever it is. If you think they're human, compared to versus if you think they're some kind of unknown, unclassified ape. Well, first of all, according to science, humans are primates, and you got your chimpanzees, gorillas, bonobos, baboon, whatever. You got your non-human primates. Because as humans, we're considered human primates. So, regardless of what you believe Bigfoot might be, take that comparable species. For me, all right, I'll throw my example out there. If I believe he is some kind of ape, non-human ape, for example, I'll study everything I can about non-human apes. I'll study their diets. I'll read about their diets. I'll compare their behaviors. What are they known for? What have they been observed practicing? How are they in the jungles, or in their own environment? I read up on people like Jane Goodall, or her observation with um, Dr. Ian Redmond. He's a good one too. Not a lot of people know him, but he's just like Jane Goodall. He's a conservationist. He's observed many different species, and he's had a large study with the gorillas. And just like Jane Goodall, they observe these species in their own environment, at physical contact with them. Um, you know, that's real habituation. Um,
Yeah.
so I take these notes. I do everything I can to compare notes. What are we experiencing in our own neck of the woods? What are we hearing? What are we finding? Everything, a broken tree limb to a twisted tree limb, or rock stacks in odd places. I mean, we got to ask ourselves, if you're comparing notes, are these other species known for doing this on a number of occasions? If you do the right research, you will find a very close similarity on behaviors and the characteristics. Um, I've actually done several different research, different studies in the past where gorillas, and mainly chimpanzees. Chimpanzees are a real good one to focus on. And understanding what they do when they're upset, their aggression. Will they break trees? Will they bang trees? Will they throw rocks? Yes, they chimpanzees and gorillas, they do all this stuff. And we're experiencing it, we're associated with what we experience here in North America, you know, and you got these primates in other countries, they do this too. Um,
True.
Bigfoot. Everybody asks, does Bigfoot bury their dead? Apes, chimpanzees, they have been observed burying. It's a very rare thing, but if you dig into your research and go deep enough, you will actually find that they do that. They bury their dead. In a number of cases, when it comes to like if a chimpanzee dies off and dead, they'll actually mourn it by carrying it or with them for several days before they dispose of the body. That's more common. But again, to bury their dead, it's a rare thing, but it has been observed. So there's a lot of little things which I'm not going to get into it tonight. But again, comparing notes to a species that you believe that might be closely related to the subject, such as Bigfoot. That's one thing I recommend to a lot of people, and I've shared it in a couple of my books. That because a couple of my books I like to when I get into bringing up the research part of it, I always try to point that out. You can write down, just like in school or high school, you write down a list of characteristics and behaviors and everything else, and then on one species, or like me and you, for example, likes and dislikes. I'll write down all mine, and you write down all yours, and we'll compare. We'll match up, see if any of them match up. Well, are they compatible? You know what I mean? I'm just trying to throw out random, points here, but it's the same thing with Bigfoot and whatever species that you believe they're closely related to. If you think they're strictly human or some kind of human, what's human about them besides their feet? A lot of people say, well, they're human because they got human-looking faces. Not everybody describes that. So, yeah, a lot of there's a lot. I get a lot of descriptions of them looking very non-human. But then you get the Neanderthal description. You get this kind of description. It's just like me and you. We don't look the same. You know. So I think everybody you know, people here in the United States, the average of American citizens compared to people like Chinese people. If we compare us, Chinese people are small compared to us on average. They are small people. Just like go to Vietnam. I remember back when I was in high school in ROTC. When our lieutenant colonel was, he was a Vietnam veteran, and he brought in the uniforms of a fully grown adult. They look like little kids' clothes. They're small people. Unlike Americans, we average 5-6 feet tall, or sometimes bigger. So yeah. So
Yeah.
But like I said, it all depends. There's a lot of things you can look at. Everybody has their own way of doing. But I have my own way of doing things. So
yeah.
And for the longest time, I've actually kind of neglected some of my research. I haven't read it or followed up with a lot of stuff, but I hope to do more of it soon. So.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry if I've been rambling on. So.
Yeah, the problem we have with Bigfoot is lack of observation. So
yes, absolutely.
there is no Jane Goodall. There is none of those people. You can't just go out in the woods and get close to them and watch them. That's not a thing. That's and I'm not sure it'll ever be a thing, really. Maybe 50 years from now, maybe. But that's, we've been trying for 50 years with like that many results, 0.
Right.
So, Daniel, maybe the audience doesn't know, I look at it differently. Like there's really nothing more to learn by tramping around through the woods, because you're always going to be outclassed. There'll always be 1,000 steps ahead of you. And, the observations will never come unless you get extremely lucky. That could happen.
Yeah.
It could happen, but probably not.
Well, here's the other thing you got to look at. And I can't speak for everybody that goes out looking for Bigfoot, but there's a couple things we could look at that consider why we go out exploring. There's a fascination. There's a fascination on, or maybe there's a better way to put that. Yeah, and some of us have a passion to go out there to explore, to see what we might come across, things that might be interesting or fascinating to us. I get that. Basically, it's almost like saying it's self-entertainment to each individual. Like, hey, man, look at that. If we could look at something and come across something that's like mind-blowing, it's like, wait a minute. If we could rule out weather, or if we could rule out possible human contact or human interaction, these are the things I like to do. Everybody goes out there and says, well, that's a Bigfoot. Bigfoot did that because it's made this way. People neglect every known species. People neglect human contact and interaction. Thing is, if we go out there, for example, I'll hike deep in the woods. I mean, where I go out to camp, I'm already deep enough out there just being there. But when I go further into the woods to do my exploring, I have to understand one thing, and people got to understand this too. Just because you're out there and you're coming across something that's like mind blowing, and you said there's no way a human could do this, because you're way out there. First of all, you're underestimating people in general, but you're out there. You can't say no one else has been out there because you're there. But
yeah.
I like when it comes to tracks, there's certain areas where I like to observe and search out for tracks, because I look around bare areas around creek beds. Those are kind of areas where I like to find a lot of my tracks. Because if a squatch has been through there, I want to find an area where it's going to look obvious. Because you got leaf litter, you got all kinds of other debris and litter on the ground. From the forest. You might see impressions, but impressions don't mean nothing either. But yeah, I bet again, just being out there, it's excitement, entertainment, a fascination.
Exactly.
To see what we might come across. So. But there's nothing wrong with documenting. If I go out, when I go out there this next week, if I come across interesting things, I'll take pictures of them. I'll share them. And I'm not gonna say, look, all this Bigfoot evidence. No, I don't call it Bigfoot evidence. If anything, I call it possibilities. There's possibilities. So, but yeah, always make note of what you find. So
yeah, I mean, like and that's why I always say, I'm sure it's personally exciting. People that want to find that stuff. It's very personal. It's very personal. It's very internal to them. But it's like I look at the bigger picture and the in a more objective way. It's like that's great, but does it move the ball down the field? Because I'm interested. As cool as your story might be, I'm interested in moving the ball down the field. And when I say move the ball down the field, I'm talking about piercing the bubble of the Bigfoot world outside the Bigfoot world, not in it. Like I want people on the fence outside the Bigfoot world to get involved. I want the general public to be more aware. I want scientists to take this stuff seriously for once. And that'll never happen from, the relatively handful of people who are interested in going out the woods, like you are, Daniel, and looking for evidence. Like none of those people are gonna ever pierce that bubble ever, unless you get lucky. You find a freaking of a juvenile and you could drag it into town or whatever. Like I'm not ignoring the luck factor. It's just the luck factor is like 1 in a billion as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, it's I know there's a better way. And I don't, and I'm not trying to poo-poo, I mean, I always tell you, dude, like we have private messages back and forth. And then at the end, dude, I always tell you, I said, well, be safe. Just be safe,
Right. Absolutely.
Like, cause you know what you're dealing with out there, man, like they could pick you up by the neck, slam you up against a tree, you'd be dead, For real.
Yeah, that's true.
They have that physicality to do that,
I believe that absolutely.
Yeah. So, that's why I always tell you in the end, man, whenever you and I talk and you're like, I'm going out in the woods, I'm like, at the end of that conversation, the last thing I always say is, well, be safe, bro.
Well, with that illustration that statement you just made, again, back if we wanted to compare, like I was comparing non-human primates to human primates. When it comes to Bigfoot, as you stated, a gorilla could easily do that to one of us. That's the strength behind a gorilla. So, even a chimpanzee, people don't realize this. Chimpanzees, they're like 10 times stronger than a human. I mean, their muscle mass is basically 90% compared to us. I mean, they have 90% to 10% fat versus fat. That's why they can't swim.
You're not going to win that fight. No.
Nope. One story I shared on here in the past that my father shared with me that he witnessed. many years ago in a bar. This one guy that used to come in there. This guy was a zookeeper, and he was in charge of one of the chimpanzees at the zoo. This is it's funny, but Dad said this is true. He's witnessed this. Uh, the guy brought the chimpanzee into the bar. Seriously, and I think the chimp's name was Joe, and the chimpanzee was very smart, and he knew his name. He acknowledged if you called his name, hey Joe, you want a beer? Yeah, he knew how to respond yes because he's had beer before, and he knows all beer. Um, one particular incident that took place there, the guys wanted to see how strong the chimp was. They wanted to do arm wrestling. Not one man one on one could do it. Dad says several guys. I think he said between 6 to 8 people, whatever, all try to go against the guy. Like they couldn't budge that thing. I mean, that strength behind that one arm versus several men could not handle that chimpanzee.
No way.
The strength behind them are amazing. Yeah. So take that. Yeah. Take a gorilla, man. A gorilla is probably stronger than a chimp because look, they're all big and bulky. They got more muscle mass. So and so yeah. If we're thinking squatches, especially with all the eyewitness descriptions of how muscular and big and thick they are.
Well, they're 4 foot wide shoulders, dude. I mean, that's huge, humongous.
Right.
So they're, I mean, my point is that, they're strong enough to pick you up, slam you against anything in one felt swoop and kill you, know? And I mean, to me, that's a good reason to not go looking for them, but that's just me,
Yeah.
I get the excitement. Like, I totally understand the personal connection that some people have. That is not, not what I have. I don't have that. I'm immune to it. Like, I'm just immune to it, and I get it, dude. That like why you, Daniel, and 100 other people I know in the Bigfoot world go tramping around through the woods looking for it,
Yeah.
And some of those people actually think one day they're gonna trick one. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying some people actually think they're gonna trick one into revealing themselves on camera, and it's gonna be like Patterson Gimlin film times 10 or something.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not buying that. I'm saying no, you're not. Like, that's very arrogant. The data's clear, man. These things have they have a mastery of their environment, and they have an intelligence of their environment that you and I cannot compete with.
Yeah. Well, one thing that's brought to my that I'm just thinking of. One thing I'll bring his name up, and I agree with him on something because I watched one of his Off the Richters. But Richter Riolo, in the episode where he showed a video of people talking about the Bigfoot Sasquatch is supposed to be our forest friend. One thing I agree with Richter on: Sasquatch is not your forest friend, and I'll explain it like this. I believe they are a species, if ever encountered, that they should be really respected, just like any other wildlife. Because wildlife in general, especially you got mountain lions, you got bears. There's a lot of bears out here in these woods, and I've had my share of encounters with black bears. But one thing I always tell people, I said, a lot of wildlife, these predators that are out in the woods. If you respect them, if you keep your distance and respect them, they usually won't bother you. And the other thing is that's not always the case either. But however, you don't want to put nothing in a position where it is going to attack you. It's like a venomous snake. You keep playing with that snake, eventually you're going to get bit.
Right.
So it's like, don't put anything in a position to where you're asking for trouble. That's the way I look at it. I think that's common sense. but
it is.
so
I don't know enough about them to trust them at all.
Yeah.
So that's why I have this default position of I don't want them around me, because I don't know enough about them to trust them.
Right.
Again, dude, I mean, if a coyote gets too close to my campsite, I mean, I'll come charging out of that tent, rifle in hand, man. Like, I'll smoke it. If I see it, I'll smoke it,
Right.
And that's just a coyote, that's just a, 35-pound, wild canine. I mean, we're talking about 8 foot tall, 4 foot wide shouldered, 700-pound thing that walks on 2 legs that we know nothing about. No thanks. Nope.
Well, one day one of us will have a sit down interview him.
Daryl.
How tall are you? Yeah, Daryl. All right, Daryl. Let's start from the beginning. So, yeah.
Well, you know me, dude. I know that I have the right technique to do way better than that. So, I'll just leave. Yeah. I'll leave it at that, man.
Man, I tell you what. When you get around to getting that piece of equipment, man, like a thermal drone, yeah, definitely. Let me know. So, but yeah. Do what?
It'll happen this season. This winter, I will be flying a thermal drone. Looking for them.
Right.
And I can't. I don't know if I'll. I have no idea how easy or hard it'll be to find them. All I know is this. Yeah. I could cover 6 square miles in about 30 minutes, as opposed to walking around in the woods, which you can cover, I don't know, maybe 6,000 square feet in that time. So the superiority is there. I know it's there.
Right.
And so my odds are exponentially greater than anybody trying to walk around. Plus, I'm a mile away and there's no sign of me being there. So they won't be in people mode, They'll just be tramping around in the woods doing whatever the hell a Sasquatch does, Yeah. So I mean that's going to happen this winter. Is going to be my first attempt at that, and I'll give it about 3 seasons. And if I can't find one in 3 winters, then they don't exist. I mean, I'm sorry. If I can't find them in 3 winters using that technique, they're not. They just aren't there. Like,
well, another time to do too. Late fall, early winter when the canopy's down. Also, before the canopy comes back up, like early to mid spring. Because between early to mid spring and early to mid fall is probably the best times, especially at night, is when I've experienced a lot of my activity throughout the years. That's why starting tomorrow, when I get ready to head out to camp, I'm really hoping I experience something, something I could maybe share with everybody else, something I hopefully capture. Unfortunately, we're never prepared to capture something when it does happen. Unless we're already recording or filming something, and you just so happen to get that lucky shot, or your audio is going at the right time and you pick it up, whatever it might be. I mean, so I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see who is the best Bridge. It's a contest between me and you and all the other researchers.
Well, I'm sure you've been putting away and saving for your thermal drone. Well,
It's happening, dude, and I'm going to document it. Like I'm not an idiot, dude. I'm going to document this process.
right.
The best I can. And I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
If you want to see a Bigfoot, come my way. Like join me. I'll show you Bigfoot. Like, don't go walking around through the woods. As fun as that may be, I get it. I do.
Yeah.
But do you want to learn about them, or do you want to catch a glimpse of them? Like, that's where I'm at. Do you want to learn, or do you want to catch a glimpse? Like, pick one, because you're not going to get both.
Right. Patrick Vaughn actually has a interesting statement here. It's making me think of something. It reminds me of something. He says, the question is, do they show up in thermal? He says, just a few weeks ago, one barely showed up in my spotlight at 6 feet.
Well, yes. So they will show up on thermal if they're like creatures of this earth. All right. So if they're
flesh and
living,
blood,
living, breathing things like a deer or a bear or any other wildlife, if they're creatures of this earth, they absolutely will show up on thermal.
Right.
If they don't, I'm out. I'm out. Like, that's what I'm saying, dude. It's like the minute I start to think there's something supernatural going on or whatever,
right.
whatever word you want to use there, the minute I think that that's happening, I'm done. Like, see ya. Like, I'm not
well,
about him anymore.
Yeah, with what he said, how one barely showed up in his spotlight at 6 feet. Well, the 2014 encounter, I've actually made a post about it, and I shared it around, called an unforgettable event from May 3rd of 2014. You may have read it or whatever. Like I said, I shared it around earlier this week. Well, there were 6 of us total, and in that observation, when the actual encounter took place, keep in mind it was after midnight, dark as heck. We all had headlamps on, and when we were observing what we were observing, all we were catching was the eye shine. Very clear, obvious, large yellow eye shine from all 3 subjects. But it was only that one moment on the tallest one when it took that left turn and took a step and looked back. When it made that maneuver, somehow the headlamps that we had on our heads caught enough of the silhouette to make out the shape. Wide shoulders and a round head. And because I've thought of that constantly. I was like, a couple people that mine wasn't really the brightest, but a couple of them had some really bright lamps. Why weren't we seeing more than just the eye shine? Why, the only thing I could think of, first of all, it was dark as heck. It was after midnight, and they had to have been dark themselves. They had to have been dark hair or fur, and of course they were 30, 40 feet out. We were on the forest road, and they were down into the woods, because from where we were standing, it actually sloped down, almost several feet. And they were out, they were in the woods, behind, the one behind the bushes, and there were trees there. I actually have that spot marked till this very day. Actually, just about 15 feet inside, just off the edge of that forest road right there. If you ride by there and look in that spot, you'll still see the empty water bottle that I have stuck on a limb. I saved that spot, because there's a couple of areas along there almost look similar, but I marked that very spot, So, but yeah, it was mind blowing. It was a very interesting situation, and again, me and Tracy Arnold, me and him were the only ones that had backpacks on, and of course, we didn't think of it till after we got back to our camp, and we were all excited. We were starting to talk about it. We were even trying to debunk it. We were talking about what could it have been. Could it have been something else? You know, but in reality, we knew what we saw, but we were with excitement. Again, we were trying to debunk it, and 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 then when we were unpacking and everything, me and Tracy Arnold about kicked ourselves in the butt because me and him both had night vision. We both had night vision in our backpacks, and where we could have pulled them out and got a awesome view, awesome observation,
Yeah.
but not once did we think about pulling them out. I guess we were caught up in that moment. So, but I guess it is what it is. So,
Yeah.
so
But yeah, to answer like a couple of questions here, like Noah, a thermal drone will pick up pretty much every living creature on the planet of any size, because all living creatures on the planet of any size, and it's not 60,000, is they put off a heat signature. So thermal means you're detecting the heat signature. So it's not like shining a light. It's not like that. So they'll stick like a sore thumb, man. And if they don't have a heat signature, they are not of this world to be that size, right? Yeah. So period. Like, yeah. And no, it's not a $60,000 drone. It's about 10 grand. 10 grand will give you a extremely capable thermal drone to spot a Bigfoot or a cow or a freaking deer or a bear. Like, you can see all kinds of wildlife out in the open woods. The canopy has to be down, right? That's important. The thermal will not go through the canopy. So as long as the canopy's down, you're unobstructed, relatively speaking. You'll pick up. You can see a squirrel. You can see a raccoon wandering around on the ground doing its thing, and you can actually tell that it's a raccoon. You can tell the difference between a raccoon and a squirrel. So that's how good that technology is, and that technology is only $10,000 away if you ever choose to try and use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on one second. I'm trying to check something out real quick.
We should probably wrap it up, bro.
Yeah, I was actually going to check on something, but yeah, it's actually we've been on for 2 hours and 43 minutes, so it's actually been very interesting. It actually went pretty well. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, remember if you want to watch a Bigfoot show, be on the lookout for Squatch Talk with Pat. Because this coming Friday, again, I won't be around. I'll be out in the woods. I'm headed out tomorrow. I'll be out for a whole week. And we will pick back up on Bigfoot Zone with a South Carolina Bigfoot episode on the 18th, September 18th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And hopefully you guys can come back and join us again. And then again on the 19th, I'll be on a podcast, Everything Imaginable. It's I believe it's kind of fairly new. I'm not sure too much about it. I don't know where else he broadcasts and projects that podcast out of, but so we shall see. And while I'm out there in the woods, guys, I'm gonna just basically enjoy myself being out there in the woods camping. I do plan on doing some exploring. So, and Nikki Cologne said, "Do you guys miss me? Do we know her?" Yes, Nikki. Is your guest still there, or are they spending the night? No, I'm just joking. So, yeah, Nikki, it went pretty well tonight. Went pretty well. So, but yeah, we're wrapping it up, and it was a great time, great show. I really enjoyed every bit of it, and I really enjoyed our discussion back and forth here after our guest left. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss doing those kind of discussions. We need to do them more. So,
Definitely.
Nikki called me a brat. um,
Yeah.
so she said, "No, they are gone." All right. Do you want? Is there anything you want to throw out there, Pat, before we jump off?
Yeah, sure. Like, yeah, anybody that's not familiar with the Squash Talk group, like, please come join. Like, pretty much everyone's welcome there. And yeah, join up to the group on Facebook, Squash Talk. And I'll definitely be cranking out some shows and some kind of format. While Daniel's out in the woods, man, I'm gonna, I'll kind of fill the gaps while he's gone. And we'll see if he survives the trip. And
Yeah.
doesn't get killed by a squatch. And that's about it, dude. Like, that's it. That's all I got.
Awesome. Sounds good. And I threw this up there just to throw it out there, get it into people's heads. It's a set the date on this. If you guys are on YouTube and not on Facebook, I'll be closer to the first of the year. We'll start back up with some promo videos for the ECBR Annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. It is taking place June 26th and 27th of 2021 in Wares Cave, Virginia, at the Wares Cave Community Center. So, I'll get into doing more promoting that at a later date and time. So, yep.
All right, man.
And we're gonna jump off here. And meanwhile, everybody.